I'm doing from here, right?
Thank you very much, Miles, and welcome back. We're just about to have the presentation of the 1969 ST.EUNAN'S team, who won the county final, beating St Joseph's by 10 points to 1-4 in that particular year. A great side they were. They won 3 championships in that period, 67, 69 and 72, and contained, as you'll hear, some of the best footballers of their time at that particular time. So we're going to have the presentation just in a moment or so. We're waiting for the public address system, and then we'll be presenting them. They were captained by James Larkin in that particular time. A great side they were, as I said, contained such great names as Seamus Hoare, John Hannigan, Sean Ferter, Anthony Gallagher, Paddy Gallagher, and James Gallagher, his brother Seamus Durkin and Joe Winson. So we're going to do that just in a moment. We're just waiting for the Seamus Taficha to just hand over to us here in Ballybofey. And as I said earlier on, we got a great ovation for the 68 St Joseph's team for the victory in 1968. Thank you very much, Seamus. Well, before the senior game, of course, we honoured a great side of 1968, the St Joseph's side, who won 7 championships during an 11-year period. Their dominance was broken on occasions during that particular period by another great side, the St.EUNAN'S side, who during the period 1967 to 72 picked up 3 championships. They beat St Joseph's in the 1969 final by 10 points to 1-4, and as you're about to see, that side contained many of the great footballers of that particular era. They were captained by a man who is well known in GAA circles, a man who moved into politics once his football career finished. He played at cornerback on that particular side in 1969. The captain of the St.EUNAN'S team in 1969 was none other than the great James Larkin. James Larkin, ladies and gentlemen. Captain of St.EUNAN'S in 1969. Well, the goalkeeper on the St.EUNAN'S side needs no introduction whatsoever when it comes to talking about footballers, GAA footballers in Donegal. One of the all-time greats and arguably the greatest goalkeeper that Donegal has ever produced. He played for the county between 1955 and 1969. He played for Ulster on many, many occasions, picking up 4 Railway Cup medals during that period. A man who's kept himself in great condition since he stopped his playing days. The one and only, the great Seamus Hoare, was goalkeeper for St.EUNAN'S in 1969. Playing at full back, and again a man who needs little introduction to a GAA crowd here in Donegal. Began his inter-county career in 1958 as a teenager and played right the way through in 1973. He played in every position that you could possibly play on a football pitch for Donegal. He gave St.EUNAN'S great service as well. If an all-time great Donegal side was being selected, surely John Hannigan would be a cert. Full back on the St.EUNAN'S side, the great John Hannigan. Making up what was a tremendous full back line on that particular day with James Larkin and John Hannigan. Sadly no longer with us, died a couple of years ago prematurely, but he was one of Donegal's great defenders and gave St.EUNAN'S great service. A man who no forward liked playing against. Left corner back on that particular day, represented here by his son Enda, was the great Noel O'Donnell. Represented by his son Enda. Well, the half-back line on the St.EUNAN'S side that day was a tremendous one as well. Again, players who need no introduction to you GAA supporters. A man who's given great service to GAA, both as a player, a manager and an administrator. He played at right half-back on that particular day. A fearless, tireless and fully committed defender. A man who always spoke his mind and continues to do so. At right half-back was Pat Conahan. Pat Conahan. Centre half-back, one of 3 brothers who played on that winning team in 1969. A man you would pick if you wanted to pick a defender to play in any side. Again, gave great service to St.EUNAN'S over the years. A fully committed man on a football pitch, but a sportsman all the way. Centre half-back was Paddy Gallagher. And completing what was an outstanding half-back line, a quiet man, a man who didn't say much on or off the pitch and doesn't say very much on or off the pitch yet, but was a very committed and a very, very talented half-back and corner-back in those days. He played left half-back in 1969. Show your appreciation for Seamus Kelly. The midfield pairing that day for St. Eunan's was one which served them very well over the years, and indeed served GAA football tremendously well also. Wearing number 8 on that particular day, a man who played for the county between 1969 and 1981. He played at centre half-back during his inter-county career very successfully, but on that particular day he made up the midfield partnership. Playing at number 8 on that particular day, a great footballer, Anthony Gallagher. Brother of Paddy and of James, of course. His midfield partner that particular day, another man who did great service, a powerhouse of a midfielder. Once he got possession and was on the run, very hard to knock down, and had a tremendous game in that 1969 final. Show your appreciation for Sean McEntee. Midfield partner on that day with Anthony Gallagher. Right half forward on that particular day, can't be with us here today because he's resident in England, was home a short time ago, a man with a great left foot, a very talented forward. Show your appreciation for Packy O'Donnell. At centre half forward, another man who needs no introduction to a GAA crowd here at McCool Park in Ballybofey, a pitch he graced so brilliantly, so many times, and indeed a man who served Donegal football so brilliantly on the field and indeed off it as an administrator and of course as a mentor in recent years. On that particular day he played at centre half forward. A career at inter-county level saw him represent Donegal from 1957 right through to 1975. 3 Railway Cup medals in that time. Again, one of the all-time Donegal great GAA footballers, Sean Fairter. Great Sean Fairter. And making up the half-forward line with Packy O'Donnell and Sean Fairter, the third of the Gallagher family who played on that day. What a great occasion it was for that family. A great club footballer for his club St. Eunan's over the years. He scored a point on that day. A great committed footballer right through his career. James Gallagher was the third of the Gallagher brothers that particular day. Moving on to the full forward line, and a very potent full forward line it was. Scored a point on that day in the early stages of his career with St. Eunan's club after he moved to Letterkenny from County Leitrim, where he played inter-county football. A very talented corner forward who saw great service for St. Eunan's and had a fine game in 1969. Number 13 on that day for St. Eunan's was Podge McGowan. At full forwards, and I was surprised to see this, but he scored 2 points on that particular day because accuracy was never one of his great attributes, but he was a tremendous footballer who played all around the pitch for St. Eunan's during his career with them. A fully committed and a strong man, and still pretty fit looking out there today. Number 14 for St. Eunan's in 1969 was none other than the great Seamus Durkin. And completing the full forward line, and again a man who needs little introduction to a GAA crowd here, a sharp shooter extraordinaire during his career with St. Eunan's and of course with the county of Donegal, who he represented at all levels, at senior level between 1968 and 1974, and that included appearances in 2 All-Ireland semi-finals. He was top scorer along with Sean Fairter in 1969, a sharpshooter from the hands and from the ground of course with the right or left foot. The one and only Joe Wunson was left corner forward. Moving on to the substitutes on that day, a man who came on that day and played very well in the latter stages of the game. Hugh McBride was one of the substitutes for St. Eunan's. Show your appreciation for Hugh McBride. And the other substitutes represented here today, Michael Crossan, who went on to play inter-county football for Donegal and played very well for St. Eunan's for many years of course. He can't be with us here today, but he's represented by his brother Tom. Michael Crossan, of course, uncle of Mark Crossan, who now plays for the county. Another substitute on the day represented by himself here today, and the old man who played for St. Eunan's for a few years around that time, sub on the day in 1969. Show your appreciation for Fred O'Dowd. Well done, Fred. And also a substitute on that day, a young man at that time who went on to play full forward for Donegal in Croke Park. Unfortunately, his promising career was cut short by a serious knee injury, but nonetheless, in the years that he did play, he showed enough to show that he was a tremendous GAA footballer. Unfortunately, didn't play for long enough, but a substitute that day for St. Eunan's was Michael Swinney, better known as Mickey Swinney. And finally on the St. Eunan's side, the man who trained the side in 67, 69, 72 and again in 83. He was here last year, of course, with the 1952 National League semi-final side, but he gave plenty to football in the years after he stopped playing, involved with the successful St. Eunan's side of 1969. Show your appreciation for one of Donegal's all-time great wing-backs, Padder McGee. And finally, we couldn't have the teams of 68 and 69 here without recognising the man who was in the middle in 67, 68, 69 and 70. 4 years in a row. He refereed at the top level, of course, during those years and in the years that followed that. From Tyrone, a great supporter of GAA football here in Donegal. He's attended every county final for many, many years, but he was in charge in 68 and 69. The great Patsy Devlin from County Tyrone. He can still do it as well today as he did it then. So ladies and gentlemen, please show your appreciation once again for the St. Eunan's side who took the senior championship in 1969, led off by their team captain, James Larkin, St. Eunan's from Letterkenny. I'll hand you back to your MC for today, Seamus to feature. Seamus. Hello, mates. Yes, I'm still with you, mates. Listen, mates, well, I'm going to get a cup of tea here, would you believe, just to clear the throat. So sorry about that. We'll take a short break, and okay, we'll be back to you then.